The Silent Docket. Episode 1. The Black Dahlia Murder. My investigation begins. Some cases sink their claws into you and never let go. They haunt the edges of your mind, demanding answers that may never come. This is one such case. Her name was Elizabeth Short, but the world knows her as the Black Dahlia. A young woman, her dreams snuffed out in a crime so brutal it shook Los Angeles to its core. I'm your detective, and this is the Silent Docket. Tonight, I open a file that's been cold for nearly 80 years, and I'm determined to uncover the truth. Warning: this video discusses a real crime and may be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. Elizabeth Short wasn't the femme fatale the papers painted her to be. Born July 29, 1924, in Boston, Massachusetts, she was the third of 5 daughters to Cleo and Phoebe Short. Her father built miniature golf courses until the 1929 stock market crash ruined him. He vanished in 1930, leaving his family to believe he died by suicide until years later, when Elizabeth found him alive in California. By 1943, at 19, Elizabeth moved to Vallejo to live with her father, but their fights drove her out. She worked as a clerk at Camp Cook's commissary and was arrested for underage drinking in Santa Barbara, leaving her fingerprints in the FBI's database. In 1946, she landed in Los Angeles, chasing dreams of stardom. But there's no record of acting classes or roles, just a young woman living in rented rooms, working as a waitress, and lingering at the Long Beach drugstore counter where she earned her nickname, the Black Dahlia, a nod to the 1946 film, The Blue Dahlia. On January 9, 1947, Robert Red Manley, a married salesman, dropped her off at the Biltmore Hotel. She said she was meeting her sister from Boston, a lie, as her sister wasn't in town. That was the last confirmed sighting of Elizabeth Short alive. 6 days later, her name would become a legend. January 15, 1947. Betty Bersinger, a mother walking with her 3-year-old daughter in Leimert Park, spotted what she thought was a mannequin in a vacant lot on South Norton Avenue. As she approached, horror set in. It was no mannequin, it was Elizabeth Short's body, severed at the waist, drained of blood, and posed with her arms above her head. Her face bore a gruesome Glasgow smile, cut from mouth to ears. Her body was cleaned with gasoline, leaving no fingerprints or blood at the scene. The autopsy revealed a grim truth. Elizabeth died from blows to the face, causing a cerebral hemorrhage. The bisection and mutilation cuts to her breasts, thighs, and organs removed happened post-mortem, with surgical precision suggesting a killer with medical or butchering skills. Near the body, police found a heel print and a cement sack with blood traces, likely used to transport her, but the killer left no other clues. The Los Angeles Examiner sold record copies, dubbing her the Black Dahlia, a name that outshone her real identity. The media frenzy turned the case into a circus, with reporters trampling evidence and answering tip lines, withholding leads from the LAPD. Over 60 people confessed, from housewives to soldiers, but none checked out. The investigation, the largest since the 1927 Marion Parker murder, involved hundreds of officers, yet every lead hit a dead end. The killer didn't stay silent. On January 21, 1947, a caller claiming to be the murderer phoned James Richardson, editor of the Examiner, praising the paper's coverage and promising to turn himself in eventually. 3 days later, a manila envelope arrived, addressed to the Los Angeles Examiner and other papers. It was covered in cut and pasted newspaper clippings, reading, "Here is Dahlia's belongings." Letter to follow. Inside were Elizabeth's birth certificate, photos, business cards, and an address book embossed with the name Mark Hansen, a nightclub owner. All items were wiped with gasoline, like her body. More letters followed, signed Black Dahlia Avenger. One read, "I will give up on Dahlia killing if I get 10 years. Don't try to find me." The police traced 75 men from the address book, including Hansen, who admitted Elizabeth stayed at his home but denied involvement. The letters led nowhere, but they proved one thing. The killer was playing a game, taunting the police and the public. I've sifted through over 150 suspects named by the LAPD. 4 stand out. First, Robert Manley, the salesman who last saw Elizabeth at the Biltmore. He passed a polygraph and had an alibi, but his nervous demeanor keeps him on my list. Next, Dr. George Hodel, a gynecologist with a venereal disease clinic. His surgical skills matched the killer's precision. In 1949, he was tried for molesting his daughter, Tamar, and acquitted, but the trial raised red flags. In 1950, police bugged his home, capturing him saying, "Supposin' I did kill the Black Dahlia, they couldn't prove it now. They can't talk to my secretary because she's dead." His son, retired LAPD detective Steve Hodel, found photos of a woman resembling Elizabeth in his father's belongings and claims Hodel killed her. A 2012 soil test at Hodel's Sowden house found traces of human remains, but it's inconclusive. Then, Leslie Dillon, a bellhop and mortician's assistant. In 1949, Dillon wrote to LAPD psychiatrist Dr. Joseph Paul DeRiver, claiming an acquaintance, Jeff Connors, killed Elizabeth. Dillon knew unreleased details, like the murder citee a blood-soaked room at the Astor Motel. The LAPD's gangster squad detained him, but released him when Connors, a real person, gave conflicting statements. Pause ones. Author Pew Eatwell argues Dillon orchestrated the murder with Mark Hansen, who was spurned by Elizabeth. Finally, Dr. Walter Bailey, a surgeon whose office was near Leimert Park. Bailey died in 1948, and his mental state was deteriorating due to a brain tumor. Researcher Larry Harnish, a retired Los Angeles Times copy editor, believes Bailey's medical skills and proximity make him a strong suspect, though no direct evidence ties him to the crime. This case is a maze of theories. One links Elizabeth's murder to the Cleveland torso murders of 1938, where 12 victims were dismembered with surgical precision. Some believe the same killer moved to Los Angeles, as the cases share eerie similarities. Elliot Ness, famed leader of the Untouchables, suspected a Cleveland socialite with medical training but lacked evidence. Could it be Hodel, who traveled widely? Another theory ties the Black Dahlia to the lipstick murder of Jean French, killed February 10, 1947 in Los Angeles. French's body was beaten, and "Fuck you BD" was scrawled on her stomach in lipstick, suggesting Black Dahlia. The media connected the cases, but police found no proof. Some point to a cover-up. The LAPD in the 1940s was riddled with corruption. Pew Eatwell suggests the gangster squad, tied to nightclub owner Mark Hansen, buried evidence against Dillon to protect underworld connections. Others, like Steve Hodel, claim Hodel's wealth and influence shielded him. A 1949 grand jury investigated the LAPD's failures but issued no charges. My findings? Hodel remains my top suspect. His skills, the wiretap confession, and his flight to Asia in 1950 scream guilt. But Dillon's knowledge of the motel and Bailey's proximity can't be ignored. The lack of DNA in 1947 limits us, but I'm not ready to close this file. Elizabeth was a high-risk victim, homeless, trusting, and alone in a city of predators. Her killer exploited that. This is where my investigation begins. The Black Dahlia story isn't over. I'll chase every lead, from the shadows of Leimert Park to the secrets of the LAPD. I need your help, detectives. Was it Hodel, Dillon, Bailey, or someone else entirely? Share your theories below and join me in the hunt for the truth. This is the Silent Docket. The truth doesn't stay silent forever. Until next time, stay vigilant.